Hello family! Our movie begins with a lovely young lady named Laura attending a lecture. She passes out during class. She realizes her body is weak because she hasn't eaten anything. Laura's financial situation is dire, and she can barely afford to pay for college. Laura's teacher recommends her to eat more meat in order to keep healthy. However, Laura claims that the meat is too expensive, and her teacher advises her to sue her parents for neglecting her. Laura refuses, claiming that her parents simply cannot afford to supply her with money, even if they wanted to, because both of her parents are employed. Laura leaves with her boyfriend's money and shares the rent on his flat. They are both hurting financially since their electricity payments are past due. The power is turned off by the energy provider. Laura becomes dissatisfied with her existing circumstances and chooses to take on a second part-time job. After some browsing, she comes across an advertisement by a man named Joe who is looking for beautiful young students to offer massages for a significant sum of money. Laura applies for the position, then Joe emails Laura his snapshot and clarifies that they will not get physical. The next day, Laura leaves her home to meet Joe at a nearby hotel. Joe hands Laura a letter stating that she must strip first. Despite her hesitation and nervousness, she gradually takes off her clothing after becoming completely naked. Laura is told to take a shower when she exits the bathroom. Joe is naked on the bed, and she notices him. Laura is embarrassed by the whole situation, but Joe, being a professional, continues to give her advice. Joe and Laura begin discussing their personal lives after a time of stroking one another. Joe pays Laura the agreed-upon amount when the timer runs out. Laura is overjoyed with her first paycheck and decides to throw a small celebration with her friends. Laura works part-time in a call center in her spare time. She continues to find more high-paying clientele. A few days later, she locates her second customer and arranges to meet him at a nearby restaurant. The man is nervous and claims that this is his first time performing something of this nature, so Laura suggests that they go somewhere private. The man leads her to a parking lot where they are alone. Laura is more confident this time and uses her hands and lips to warm up the man's machine. The man, however, desires more than just a massage and forces himself on Laura, who is absolutely helpless in the position. When he's finished, he leaves Laura in the parking lot alone and pays her for forcing himself on her. Laura returns home and tells Myung all that has happened to her in the hopes of eliciting pity from him. Myung, on the other hand, is unaffected by Laura's cries. Laura, enraged, chooses to end their relationship and moves out of his flat as her examinations approach. Laura learns whenever she has the opportunity. She meets a man named Benjamin while studying at a nearby tavern. The two become really close after some drinking and conversing. Benjamin kisses Laura as they walk back home. She often loves and cuddles him in her spare time because he gives her comfort. Laura occasionally works as a model for adult magazines to supplement her income. Following the photo shoot, the photographer invites Laura to participate in an adult video with a guy and a lady who are also students, but Laura refuses, claiming that just because she's naked for the picture doesn't mean she'll allow anyone to touch her body. Laura meets with one of her friends who, like her, provides adult services. Laura's friend discloses that she has been recruited by over 20 clients and has made a lot of money, which she has spent on expensive gifts. Laura learns that many of her female peers who own expensive items may be providing adult services as well. She is enticed by the prospect of being able to purchase extravagant gifts anytime she desires. When Laura is working as a maid, the owner of the house approaches her and invites her to live with him because he is drawn to her attractiveness. She is not required to pay rent for the room because the owner of the house desires her body as payment. Laura tells him she needs some time to think about it. She reminds herself that she is not a street woman and that the only reason she is providing adult services is to pay her university tuition. Laura takes the university examinations and gets fantastic grades, just in time for her final semester exam. Laura resolves to get a laptop in order to study more effectively, but she discovers that she does not have the money to do so. She contacts her first customer, Joe, in the hopes of making some quick money from him. The next day, she goes to visit Joe in the hotel room and discovers a laptop, a gift from Joe, but in exchange for such a costly gift, Joe wants more this time, so he tries Laura and becomes physically violent with her. Laura, on the other hand, manages to release herself and swiftly dress. She snatches the laptop quickly, accepts her payment, and dashes home. Laura is horrified by the occurrence because anything could have happened to her if she hadn't freed herself from the shackles. Later, she summons Benjamin to her place because she has to vent to someone. Laura tells him what happened to her and that she provides adult services, but Benjamin is unconcerned and consoles Laura, claiming that he loves her and doesn't mind what she does for a living. Laura regains her confidence and returns to work, providing adult services to her clients. She balances her new career and her education at the same time. As a result, she scarcely has time for Benjamin. When one of Laura's clients keeps contacting her and disturbing their date night, he loses his temper. Laura goes to see Joe again one day, despite knowing what he did to her the last time. When Benjamin learns of this, he becomes enraged because he believes Laura is simply interested in the money and no longer loves him. Laura expresses her regret to Benjamin and promises that she will no longer see Joe. She even licks Benjamin beneath his tummy, but Benjamin has had enough of being envious and decides to end his relationship with Laura. Laura also loses her cool and taunts Benjamin, claiming that he has no idea what it means to earn money because he never went to college. She even refers to Benjamin as a spoiled brat. She goes to meet the photographer and demands that he remove all of her images. When the photographer refuses, Laura becomes enraged and strikes him. She is now utterly disoriented and chooses to give up. She intends to relocate to Paris to start over. When she informs Joe, he offers her $1,000 to spend 5 hours with him. So Laura decides to meet him again because the money could help her pay her bills. Laura is asked to attend an explicit video with his other friends at a club where the two of them go. Laura is uneasy with her circumstances, but she tries to put up with the humiliation for a few more hours. She is then led to a secret room where Joe and his friends exploit her. Laura then showers and departs from the club. After serving Joe and their friends, she is extremely exhausted. She returns to the hotel with Joe and insists that the agreed-upon money be paid to her. Now, she goes to the restroom and cries alone, feeling humiliated and violated by the man. When she gets out of the bathroom, she discovers a $100 envelope on the bed. Joe took advantage of her condition and defrauded her by offering her $1,000. She discovers a note from Joe in which he promises to pay the balance of the money the next time they meet. Laura feels helpless in her predicament since, no matter how hard she tries, she gets forced back into the adult business in some way. The next day, she goes to university and informs her friend that she is leaving town. Laura requests that a friend send her a note so that she can study for the test without attending any classes. Laura no longer has the courage to live in humiliation in the city that has taken so much from her. She boards the train and goes into the restroom since she doesn't have enough money to pay for a ticket. She calls Joe and requests that he pay the remaining funds, but Joe informs her that he has cancer and is unable to transfer her funds. Laura settles into a friend's dorm room after landing in Paris. She goes out the next day to look for work but is unsuccessful because every employer wants a full-time employee. She eventually finds work in a restaurant after struggling for a long time. Laura returns to the city that nearly shattered her life on the day of her final examinations. Laura takes the exam genuinely because she wants to attain her goals. Laura is pleased to find that she passed the exam with flying colors on the day of the results, and she celebrates with her new friends. She calls Joe one last time to tell him she graduated with honors. She no longer needs to sell her body and can live a normal life doing what she enjoys. It is the primary reason why most female students begin giving adult services to help pay their bills. It is not a choice for them, but a need for survival. So this is how our movie concludes. Leave us a comment on how you found this movie, and see you in the following video. We hope that you enjoy your time and have a good day.